And welcome back to another episode of the Swandingo Files, where the Ango H.O. Baby. Today I have a special guest, Forrest Barcus, and he's a fellow veteran, and he was in the 101st Airborne around the same time I was, I guess. I didn't even know that. Small world after all. How's it going today, Forrest?
It's going well, and just to clarify, I was deployed under 101st Field Artillery. I'm actually an MP, so we were just attached to them.
Yeah. So today we're going to discuss, why you joined, your time in the military. I know you said you got some injuries, your transition period out, and kind of how you're crushing it now and the world you live in. So if you
Okay.
want to begin, why did you join the military?
So I'm from a very small town in Northern California. Our eighth grade graduating class literally had 8 people. I ended up getting transferred at the last minute to another school that was considered bigger, and I think we had 23 kids graduating that year. So after eighth grade, we went to a large city, which is a speck compared to what an actual large city is. Um, I just needed to get away. The small town mountain, and once all the logging industry kind of got regulated and shut down, it really ruined the economy of Northern California. Whole towns of mountains, like mountain cities, just started dying because that was their life and livelihood. And it affected me. My family became very, very poor at the time, and that's for a different story. But anyways, so the reason I joined was to kind of get out and break away from all the drugs, everything that comes with the small town poverty. The first 7 years of my life, I didn't have running water, I didn't have electricity, no flushing toilets. Like, we lived in a little cabin on the side of an Indian reservation, and that was life. I remember the first time I actually seen a light switch. I was probably about 5 years old and started playing with it because I was just so amazed that there was this instant power. So I joined the military to get away from that, see the world. I love traveling. Yeah, that was basically it. And it was after 9/11. I'm one of the post 9/11 people that joined. And I wanted to do that whole hua, let's go to war. It's the stuff that really excited me. And I got talked into the MP Corps because it was, oh, you'll get 1 year doing garrison work, and the next year you'll deploy, and then 1 year garrison, then you'll deploy again. So I thought it'd be this awesome schedule of, hey, 5 years I might be able to get 2 or 3 deployments in. And of course, nothing works out in the army, and yeah.
No, no, it doesn't. No. So you joined the MPs, and how many years did you do?
Oh, I did a total of 5 and then 1 year of inactive reserve. So I first started in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. I got lucky enough to go out to Germany. I ended up leaving by myself. So everyone from my basic training unit went to a different post. I was by myself. So I ended up getting attached to a rear D unit, and just did my time in Germany there. Did a little bit of work for the 529th Honor Guard is where I ended up there, and just doing little missions and Honor Guard salute batteries and stuff like that.
Okay. So I know you said you had gotten injured before. If you want to, can you talk about that a little bit and how it's affected you since?
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's something I can't actually currently dive into because even I've been out for, let's see, I got back in 2011. Within 1 month, I transitioned. So I went from Afghanistan to out on my butt as a civilian in less than 1 month. I had no transition time. That's just how everything lined up. So, sorry, I forgot where I was going with that. Once again, I have these little brain things. Oh, about the injuries. So, it's right now it's getting brought back up 11 years after the fact. So I can't go into a lot of details, but basically what happened is October 31st, 2010, we were going on Route California. The first vehicle got hit by an IED. We were doing a counter IDF mission. Um, what went through my mind when I seen vehicle one go up in flames is I knew, which was one of my good friends, Emery, Wells. I knew everybody that was in that vehicle, Sergeant Sutherland. I knew in my heart that they were dead. I mean, the explosion, the percussion, just everything about it. We were I was in vehicle number 4. There was a secondary device that was triggered. We got sprayed with shrapnel, but what really messed my vehicle up was the location of it and the way it was directed. It wasn't that we physically got sprayed and our vehicle didn't, get hit besides with just little scraps, but it was the percussion. I mean, my TC at the time, I'm not going to mention his name just because of everything that's going on right now. He completely blacked out. I mean, he lost full-blown consciousness. My gunner in the turret, I mean, he was disoriented. It was all bad for our vehicle. There was a lot of confusion because that was the first time in from what I was told, in Afghanistan history that actual daisy chain was used. So I suffered the unseen injury. Luckily, vehicle number 1 was, for the most part, besides the head traumas and stuff like that, there wasn't a lot of physical damage that you could see, but it was a lot of the brain damage and from the percussion of these IEDs that really did the damage to a lot of us. We went into concussion protocol. Basically, I want to say six of us failed concussion protocol. And then after that, it turned really political. So, for example, I didn't mention him earlier. Wells, he was the gunner. I believe he's in vehicle number 1. He never was sent for professional. I mean, we went to a field medic's office. They said, yes, we have concussions. And that was it. Like, our platoon sergeant was yelling at us. It was our fault that we were hurt, that we were failing protocols, that we were just trying to get out of missions. I mean, it became political fast. They refused to file awards because they didn't like certain people. It became this huge mess. They tried transferring other soldiers out. So that was a real mental bog down, being in concussion protocol and being screamed at, being called a liar. Just a lot of stuff happened, and it really wore on us mentally. Now I'll start talking. I have these huge gaps in my memory. I mean, I've always been known as a person that has that silver tongue. Oh, Barcus, he's a smooth talker. He can talk his way out of anything. I was literally known for that, like being able to get into the worst possible trouble you can think of, and I'd be walking scot-free with me and my battle buddies. I mean, and now it's difficult to form sentences, and it's just really hampered my life. And I mean, like I said, I had this severely quick transition. I didn't have the proper transition that I was promised and what I was told I was going to get when I got back to Fort Hood. And it really took its toll in the early parts of my life of getting out of the military. I told you I did 1 year of inactive reserve. I went to do my protocols. So when I went to protocols to deploy, because the Oregon National Guard was literally right where I was just at a couple months ago. So I was excited. I was ready to go back. I got seen by a doctor. They told me within a half hour they would never deploy me. They went in, gave me discharge papers, and I was home from Salem, Oregon.
Holy crap. That's I mean, kind of pisses me off a little bit because, I was an E7 and my priority was always the soldiers, even when we got hit by IEDs, gunfire, if we ever took a loss, my priority was to make sure that they were okay. I mean, that's part of the reason though, I always made sure they were okay. I never checked on myself though. And I mean, I'm dealing with my issues now and talking to you guys and seeing some of the crap you guys have been through and seeing how some of our stories align. It's good therapy for me to talk to other previous soldiers, veterans, stuff like that. But how is I mean, are you doing any therapy? Are you doing anything to improve your mental health, your trauma?
Yeah, so I started in Oregon. I started going and seeing a doctor about I started having these sleep literally from October 31st, the very first night that I went to sleep, I started having these sleep paralysis. So anytime I go in and out of sleep, my body's not doing that transition. So mentally, I'm still awake, but my body shut down. And I'd wake up just hallucinating, vomiting. And that was what my primary effects off the beginning. So I had to start seeing a neurologist. It started in Oregon. I was visiting some family in Northern California, and I unfortunately forgot my medicine and I had an episode. So I woke up and I was vomiting and I was just profusely not well. So my mom talks me into taking me to the ER. I go to the ER. A nurse in California decided that it's not a good idea that a person like me should have a driver's license. I wasn't even a state resident. They had nothing to do with it. They went out of their way, filed paperwork against me, and I had my license taken away. So now I'm barely making it up in Oregon, have my license taken away. Once again, I had that little thing where, I kind of forget where I was going with the whole point of the story. I apologize. Can you start with the original question again? Sorry about that.
You're good, man. Let's go ahead and move on. It's all good. I get it. I kind of have some of the same problems here and there where I forget where I'm trying to lead it. So I know where you're coming from. I'm glad people can actually see it and see that, you're at least trying to get help on the outside, and there is a lot of resources out there. And I'm hoping you're taking advantage of some of the stuff. Are you able to go to the VA or anything, or are they trying to help you?
Correct. That's where I was going with that. So the Portland VA system was completely in shambles. I had a friend out of Washougal, Washington. He's like, man, I'm telling you, have to come here. My doctor is amazing. So I finally broke down, went to his doctor, and she was a lifesaver, literally. She couldn't believe what happened to me in Northern California. So she ended up getting me proper brain scans through the state of Washington's VA system. And they got me everything done within 2 months. I was fighting the California VA system from Oregon for years. So this whole time, all they would offer me is, hey, here, take these pills. You're just depressed. Don't worry about what's going on with your brain. Yes, it could be possible TBI, but what it's most likely from is just stress. So they just kept giving me pills and pills. Well, I finally get up into Washington. I meet a real neurologist. They give me a brain scan, and they send me to some physical therapy to where I can learn. I couldn't hold items very well. So I'd be writing with my pen in college and the pen would fall out of my hand. I used to be a smoker. I'd be smoking a cigarette and it falls right out of my hands. The neurologist sent me to the right people to where I can actually learn how to use my grip again. So that was a big step for me, just knowing that I could actually work through it. I did some counseling sessions. I've done them in Oregon. I did them here in Kentucky for a while. The lady was very big about, you will believe my beliefs, and if you don't agree with them, we're not going to talk. So my counselor here in Kentucky hasn't been the best. So I stepped back from it. I've probably been off of counseling for about 3 months now. And it's actually, I feel good. Getting away from all the psych medicine, everything that they've told me to do. I've built a better support system with my business partner. I mean, not that we're like this close buddy, friend, but it's one thing. I know he's gone through what I've gone through. He's been through what I've been through. And I can just shoot him a message, and within a couple moments, like, I feel everything's clicking and falling to piece again. So that's the help that I've gotten. And the majority of it's come from my wife. I mean, she's been absolutely incredible. And now I got a daughter, and yeah. So.
Well, I'll tell you this right now. My wife is the biggest part of my success also. Have a strong woman behind you or a spouse behind you can completely change the world. And, they see the struggles we go through, our spouses, and when they're there to pick up the pieces, you really got to appreciate them and kind of treat them extra special. I love my wife to death, and I'm glad she's seen me in the darkest hours, and she was right there with me, and she picked up my pieces, and she knew exactly how to help. And sometimes it was just not even saying anything. It was just be on my side. So
Yeah,
I'm glad.
with my oh,
Oh, go.
yeah, with my wife's help, without medication, it's been 6 months since I've had a sleep paralysis episode. I still get them, but when we first met, I mean, she was going with it where I'd have 3 to 4 a week, where I'd just wake up vomiting, and it was horrible. But she went through everything with me and with help and everything, and a lot, like I said, a lot of it has to do with her. I've been able to actually not have as many episodes, but it is something I will live with for the rest of my life.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. And you said you quit smoking too?
Yeah, I'm nicotine free for over a year now. So
Awesome. So at least that's a win. So
yeah, it
it's
is.
always good to quit smoking. I need to quit.
Yeah.
It's so hard though, but okay, so well, you seem to be doing a lot better now. I know you still got some issues, but
Yeah.
you talked about your business partner. What are you and your business partner into?
Oh, so we started a media company. We both noticed when we were BSing, we have a little friends group of a community of veterans where we just joke around, and so we're joking around about how much stuff just slips through mainstream media, and it was just mind blowing for us. I'm extremely good at writing, so I just started researching my own news that went slipped through the cracks. Started writing out articles. He, led the charge. He's extremely smart. He used to have a podcast with like 25,000 followers until Facebook banned him. Um, so it was just one of those things where we're we tightened our shot group, we cleaned everything up, so we're not as crazy with what we say anymore. But we just promote the media that kind of gets slips through the cracks, and we bring stuff to the forefront that at a different angle that people don't think.
Cool. So you don't have like, most media, Fox, CBS, MSNBC, and especially CNN, they all have an agenda. They all want to hide, you
Right.
know, the good stories on one side of the aisle. Fox hides,
Mhm.
it's always either negative or positive. There's no in between, it seems like anymore. So is that kind of the bridge you're trying to gap right there? Is I
Yeah.
suppose both
So
sides.
Yeah, so to be honest, we did start not with the Belfry Signal. That's completely separate deals. But in the past, me and my business partner, we both do to traditionally lean more conservative. But that was one of our goals with the Belfry Signal, is to make it as fair balanced as we can. Unfortunately, neither of us follow news that would be considered left wing or liberal as much. So no, we don't get those stories as much. And this is just me being honest. But our goal and primary goal is, I got chewed up for an article that I wrote about NATO troops using depleted uranium. Um, we used it in Afghanistan. Is there any
Mhm.
reason we should have used depleted uranium in Afghanistan? Um, so I did an article on that, and like I said, we do have a traditional, more conservative background with our audience too, and they let me have it. I got a lot of nasty emails about that one. So like I said, I try to keep it as fair as possible, um, but I am human. I do have where I grew up, who I am, and that I'm sure that does show from my articles. But I do try.
It's all good. We all try. I mean, we all kind of have our biases a little bit. So I try to stay in the middle as much as I can, but yeah, I see myself leaning a little bit more to the right. But I don't
Yeah,
agree with the right side all the time either. I definitely don't agree with the left, at least the far left, uh,
yeah.
at all. And I'll put that out there. I don't care because
Mm.
a lot of stuff I'm seeing today that are getting emphasized towards our children shouldn't be getting put in front of our children at all. But we're not going to talk about
Absolutely.
that. So,
Yeah. Leave that
so
if you
I,
get to it.
so I know you're also doing some other stuff. So I'm trying to get
Yeah.
working with some bare knucklers. You want to talk about your bare knuckle experience and what all you're trying to do for them?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So this is probably the best news. So I literally just got back. I live in Kentucky. I drove all the way down to Florida. Southern. First, I thought it was in southern Alabama, so I actually went to the wrong Gulf Shores. I was supposed to go to Gulf Breeze, so I drove to the wrong state, to the wrong place, and noticed I was about an hour off on my town. So I jumped in my vehicle, drove to the other part of Florida. So now I'm in Florida. I met with Go Combat Agency, And it was supposed to be this quick little 30-minute meeting. 4 hours later, we're sitting there. I found out he was a veteran. His name's Scott Farley, and he owns his own gym. I would definitely want to get all that to you. His gym information. If anybody's in the Pensacola, Florida area, please check him out. This guy, he's a veteran, and his intelligence is mind blowing when it comes to the fight world. I sat there. I watched a couple classes. I watched his kid, who's already, I think he's like 13 or 14 years old, and he's already fought on pay-per-view. His top fighters, he also manages fighters also, and he has champions under his belt. He has fighters that should be champions. There's one of my knocks against BKFC is there's always controversy at the end of the fight. Unfortunately, his fighter was wrapped up in the last controversial fight, but it's just incredible being able to sit and talk to Mr. Farley. And now I have a chance that I'm going to start doing interviews with his fighters. I'm going to start writing up stories to help get their story out. He also has the youngest BKFC fighter, and that's been a hot topic for their organization for a while. Is it's a whole bunch of old, washed up UFC fighters. Well, first off, anyone that's fought in the UFC is not washed up. They are a professional athlete. I don't care if they're freaking 60 years old. I guarantee Ken Shamrock could still put a whooping on almost everybody in the UFC. That's just my opinion. But
I agree with that opinion. I definitely wouldn't want to go against them, but that's pretty cool. I know it's a pretty fast-paced, exciting world.
yeah,
I'm really liking to see the blow up of the bare knuckle world, especially in the United States. I know it's really big over in the Asian world right now, and I'm really hoping it gets bigger. I know they're just getting to Las Vegas, so it's nice to hear that David Feldman's really getting really high traction on this, and it seems like he's got a good network below him. So I'm excited to see it, and I'm excited to hook up with anybody that you want to send our way. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, I want to see if I can get Mr. Farley on here for you. Like I said, he's a veteran, and just talking with him, because I've worked with several other fight agencies since the beginning. I think I discovered BKFC on venue number 2 or 3 when it was still brand new and young. My background is boxing, so it was something that I personally took hold of and took to. So I definitely want to have him out here. His gym has just been featured on Nat Geo. They did a documentary on BKFC. From what it's on my to-do list for work today. Is I need to sit down and watch it, and I'm going to go over some of the fighters because, like I said, Scott's the center of this documentary with him. One of the youngest BKFC fighter. I don't have his name. I really should have wrote that down before I could jumped on.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, so I will get that information to you. They just had an awesome documentary. I can't wait to see it. I know that it kind of makes BKFC not look the best, but they need help with marketing. That is the number one issue from the fans, is they need help with their image and their marketing, and that documentary didn't help. But I'm glad to hear that with Mr. Farley, that it shows you his gym, it shows you his character, and I'm very happy for him and his organization.
Well, I'm happy for you and all the progress you're making. I'm glad to, your wife's behind you. I'm glad that you're, finding your voice again. You seem like, I know you said you had some head trauma. It seems like you talk pretty well again. And I'm just hoping that, we can do, we stay connected and we can keep pushing forward on this. So
yeah, I appreciate it.
Yep, and I appreciate you coming on today. I know, you're a busy man. I know you just got back, and we're all busy, but I'm glad to see veterans always jumping on here, and we're always having a good chat here and there. And so, but that does it all for this time on the Swandingo Files with Forrest Barcus. He's crushing it on the outside, and he's doing very well for the bare knuckle world, and he's going to continue to crush it. Y'all have a good time. See you next time on the Swandingo Files.